The other day I was trying to drag some heavy objects from place to place, and I'll admit it, my back was pretty tired and I wasn't feeling very good about it. But then I had an idea. What if I were to capitalize on the amazing fact that round things are able to roll over a surface and use that as a way to move things from place to place? Boy, that would make my life a lot easier. That's right, I just reinvented the wheel. For this course, there is no sense in us reinventing the wheel because VMware has done an amazing job of giving us tools to experience the NSX environment using the VMware Hands-on Lab online environment. And in this nugget, I want to show you how we can get into that environment and use it for whatever we'd like. If you've never registered with VMware Hands-on Lab online before, then the process is going to start like this. And please feel free to follow along and join me as we go through this. We're going to navigate our browser to labs.hol.vmware.com. Once the page loads up, our first job is to register, which is a link in the upper right-hand corner. When we click Login Register, we're going to want to go ahead and click the register link to start the process of getting our account set up. We'll click register. Then we'll need to put in a valid email address. Of course, you'll want to use your own account. Then we can supply our first and last name and indicate that we're not robots. Then we'll click sign up. Following this, we'll need to open up our email software and click a verification link. Once we've opened up our email from VMware, then we'll find a link to validate our account. But before we follow that, let's go ahead and note the tips and best practices. Network-wise, we want to make sure we've got some good bandwidth and low latency. So 3 to 500K, no 56K modems allowed, and again, less than 240 milliseconds of response time. And there's even a speed test available for you at this alternate URL. Browser-wise, they recommend Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and IE10, so that's pretty diverse. And there is both an FAQ as well as a questions and comments email address. So now we'll go ahead and activate the account. And then we get the opportunity to supply ourselves with some secure multi-factor authentication. And although there are these 3 default questions, notice that you can change the questions to those that you can actually remember. Once you've updated the security questions, you get to define your hands-on lab password. We'll click Set Password, and then we can continue. Now in the hands-on lab environment, we see our various collections of labs, including network virtualization, which is our reason for being here. There are multiple labs with different starting points that focus on different aspects. For right now, we'll choose the 1903-01 Net VMware NSX Data Center for vSphere Getting Started lab, and click Enroll. We'll click Start this lab, and it begins the process of opening the hands-on lab environment. The instructions for labs are over on the right-hand side. If we click the Manual tab, we can see we can collapse that so we have more room for our environment, and then we can expand it back to be able to review the guidance. So you can see this first lab is 499 discrete pages, though many pages don't have a lot of content to them. In this initial table of contents, you can see that the first lab contains installation and configuration, a section on logical switching, logical routing, and the Edge Services Gateway. Again, just an introduction to each of those. If we click the table of contents link, we can jump to any section we would like. If we click under More Options, we can actually go for a split screen, which allows us to have our instructions on our phone and give the full real estate of our browser to the lab that we're working with. As a little side note, if we go to docs.hol.vmware.com, we have another way to get access to any of our labs, and in this environment, we can pick and choose whether we'd like to see that in a browser HTML format or even save it as a PDF. We'll close that for now. Now over here on the left-hand side, we have some other tools to be able to go full screen or just maximize within the browser window, change where we're docking, or to refresh if we're not seeing any response when we start clicking within the window and we need to say, hey, wake up. Also, with regard to the virtual machine that we're connected to, if necessary, we can do a hard reset or a hard power down. We can take notes, give it the 3-fingered salute of Control-Alt-Delete, and we can send a text if we are working with a partner. I'm going to go ahead and maximize and collapse our manual for just a moment. You can see that the screen readjusts. And for example, we could launch Google Chrome here in the Hands-on Labs. And the default shortcut takes us right here to the vSphere client. We'll log on as administrator at vsphere.local. And the password for this is VMware1! Takes it a moment, but then we're logged in. That's enough for now. We just wanted to get started and get introduced to the Hands-on Lab online environment, which is free for us to use and a great way to interact with the vSphere resources. So now you've seen it. There is no excuse not to get your hands dirty when it comes to NSX or nearly any other VMware product. Their Hands-on Lab Online environment is extensive and gives us a great chance to interact with the product free of charge. Please, please, please take advantage of it. In fact, you may even want to go ahead and go through some of these hands-on lab, go through this guided kind of recipe-based process of going through a lab first. Then, when we go through a lab together, you'll have seen some of those components before, be more familiar with it, and better able to receive the information as we go through it in a guided process together. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.